around, or just...
Just look around. If you want, just do what you want, really. Yep. Oh, that is perfect! In this project, we were tasked with creating an experience to help cancer survivors cope with stress and promote mindfulness. It should be a calming experience with no stress or urgency. We were given the design constraints of a seated experience with no locomotion, as well as requiring us to use hand tracking for our interactions. This is to keep our project as user-friendly as possible. In the beginning of our project, we were given a deck of cards containing mindfulness prompts for our cancer survivors. We were given the task of adapting one of those prompts into a viewer experience. We began by going through all the different cards and seeing which ones we could come up with an idea for our experience. At the time, we'd boiled down what our experience will be into two parts: the environment and the interaction. Using this formula, we managed to come up with 6 ideas to potentially be used for the experience before narrowing it down to 3. Those experiences are the beach scene, the car scene, and the window scene. After presenting our 3 ideas for our scene with Yas, our external partner, we decided we should do the window scene. The first thing I made for this project was the mood board, so I can get some inspiration on what the scene could look like. I found pictures of windows in dark rooms to get a vibe of the start of the scene. On top of that, I also got some pictures of some shutters to act as reference images. I also found pictures and paintings of nature to get a sense of what the outside world could look like. One painting in particular that served as inspiration was the painting Young Woman at a Window by Dali Salvador. On top of that, I also made some photo bashes on what the scene could potentially look like. After the mood board was made, I moved on to making some concept art for what the scene could look like. Before doing so, Joseph did point out that having the scene be by the scene could be a good source for audio. Taking that in mind, I concepted 4 potential scenes for the outside world, those being the lake, the beach, the hills, and the cliffside. After going through all 4 concepts with Joseph, we decided the beach was the best way to go. Up next was modeling the scene. In this first picture, you can see that I started out by making the windowsill and making it to scale. I then built the room around the windowsill before making a simple exterior to keep the light from coming through the walls, since they were flipped normals. As you can see here, I had some sort of slope going into the water instead of a plane for the beach. After getting some feedback, I decided to swap this out with a plane, which was probably for the best. It is what it essentially is, the final finished scene before being sent into the engine. And it is essentially all built around this one shot outside of the window here. Like, all the exterior here is like all built around just this one singular shot here. Like, for example, the grass is all centered around all around here because that's what you'll be seeing. And there's no point in putting it anywhere further out here or even down there, since you won't be seeing much of that. The grass itself, of course, is made of planes, and you know, even the beach is just one giant plane. But you won't probably won't notice that, since you know you're all the way in here. I did and as you've seen in the demo, like the window shutters are closed by default, but I opened them for the purposes of this showcase here. The room inside is fairly simple. It is simply just a box. The floor is made separate because you know the floor, like the wood, is like a different material from the wallpaper. As you can see here. Also, yeah, originally the door was back there, but was just moved here for it to make more sense, like logistically for the room. So yeah, all of this is just built and centered around this one shot here, and I think it looks pretty decent. Final contribution I made to this project was the textures. The first one was the skybox, which I painted in Substance Painter. I did need to go back and edit the skybox as the clouds were a bit too far apart where you couldn't see them. The second texture I made was the beach, and it was straightforward enough. The third texture I made was the grass. It was easy enough to do as well, as it was simply just a continuation of how I did the beach texture. The next picture was the wood texture, used for the floor, windowsill, shutters, and door. How I got that texture to tile is by painting it normally, and then I cut it in half, swapped the tops and bottoms, and finally painted over it until it tiles. The same trick I used for the floor, I also used for the wallpaper.
All right. Yeah, could you get your face out of the way? Because I have to push. Whoa, that didn't work. I have to stop. This is a tour of the Unity scene. We have this room here where the player starts in, skybox, the beach, some grass. I will start by explaining the lighting. So, we have one directional light that will shine through when the window opens, as well as illuminates most of this area. We also have a adaptive probe volumes, as you can see here. These red boxes are culling zones to get rid of the probes outside the room. So the probe volumes are used for bake lighting, and we are only baking lighting in the room. And the reason why we do that is so we can have two bake lighting scenarios set up and switch between them when the windows open to illuminate the room, which I will show in a sec. We have a grass sway effect, and we also have some water effects, and I suppose I will show the room effect. So the windows function through rigid body collisions, but they are constrained by a hinge joint so that they rotate on the window hinge, and there is a box collider, a sphere collider added to the VR hands, so that when you use your hands in VR you can just push the windows open. And we've tuned those collisions with physics materials so that when the windows are pushed open, even a little bit of force will cause them to swing fully open, and then once the hinges hit their max rotation, they get stuck. Essentially, they don't bounce backwards. Another thing in the room is you'll see this black sphere. We set this up based on feedback that said we want the room to be even more darker, and as you can see, you can only get it so dark with probe lighting, so we just put a black sphere in that fades when the windows are open. There should be some audio coming through, but I'm not hearing it. Alright, I'll open the windows. I selected the wrong thing. There. And as you can see, they've started to fade, and the lighting has started to change. And when they fully open, the room gets bright. So we've swapped the bake lighting for a different lighting scenario, and we've got rid of that black sphere. In addition to this, there's audio that is also being driven by the hinge motion of the windows to get louder, representing the outside sound fading in. But I'm not hearing it. I'm not sure if that's because the recording is like stealing it or something. So while everything sort of works as intended, I will say the one troublesome part of this project is initially the only thing that would be driven by the windows being hinged open would have been the fading in of audio. So I made an audio manager that increased this sound the more the windows are open. But then more and more features got tied to how open the windows would be, the lighting. As you see, if I close them again, this push text to give you instruction, this room darken effect. All of those have gotten chucked in with the audio script, which is poor practice. I really should have extracted the window openness, as you can see here, to a separate function. So yeah, I would say that that's the one kind of oversight of this project. I can't see anything in game mode because I'm not doing this with a VR headset at the moment. I think that's about everything for the Unity tour.